Okay, go for it. You gotta like clap.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Why are you laughing? We just started. Everyone, this is our first take. Hope said, clap us in, Sam. And I said, okay. And I did. And before I even opened my mouth, she busted a gut.
I don't know why.
Hello,
Okay.
everyone. Welcome to Tidbits of Truth 2.0. Same girls, different year,
Different
similar
names.
podcast. Oh, yes. Well, legally, mine is still my maiden name, but it will be. I'm moving soon, and I will be changing my name soon. Thanks to Hope, who gave me a lovely wedding present of a name change. So,
It's hard to navigate. So, what is your new name?
my new name is Samantha White. I am now. I'm coming up on 25 years old, actually, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um, I am newly
Because
married.
when I met you, you couldn't drink. So
That's so true. I tried to though.
you tried to get
um,
me to illegally buy you alcohol. It was fine.
allegedly, allegedly. No proof of
Allegedly.
this. Um,
True.
um, I got married a little less than a year ago. I got married in April of 2024, and it's January, the end of January 2025. Um, I'm currently living in Florida. Last time you saw me, I was probably still in Minnesota, right?
hmm
Yeah, I might have been
I
on.
was engaged. I just got engaged.
Mm-hmm.
You were about to move to Texas,
Yes.
and so we can show our rings. But I'm Hope Anderson now.
Mm-hmm. Don't mind
So
my
I feel
burned
like
fingers today.
it's okay. Yeah, but yeah, so my wedding was 5 months after that recording, roughly. And Samantha was in my wedding.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun time. We'll talk about the weddings a different episode. Um, and then you started dating your husband like right after my wedding, right? Like in the fall of 2021?
It was pretty soon. We started talking, we started talking October 15th of probably, yeah, 2021. And then we started dating officially a month later, November 15th. And we were long distance for almost 2 full years. Um, and right before our 2 year anniversary, we closed the gap. I moved down to Florida with him. He was down here training for flight school. And then 5 months after that, we got engaged, and 3 months after that, we got married. So we've
Very
been
fast.
together a little over 3 years now, but only married a little less than a year.
Yeah, and then we've been together for like 4 years, but married like three and a half. So like, or like, whatever, roughly around
Hmm.
there. So it's similar, but yeah, just a little bit different because we were not long distance and we
You also
went,
dated a shorter time. You guys
yeah,
dated a shorter time and had a slightly longer engagement.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We dated for 5 months and then our engagement was only 5 months too. So like from 11 months after I met him, we got married. So in another episode, I want to like talk about your whole engagement story and all that because we did tell my engagement story in the last episode. Um, but yeah, so 2022, that was kind of just like I don't really know if there was anything super significant. I mean, I moved into a house. That was exciting. This is my house. This is the trees.
Mm-hmm. OGs know the
Um,
trees.
hmm OGs know the trees. So that's been super fun to have your own space where you can just really get into. And we're going to talk a lot about this, I think, in other episodes, like just different
Yeah.
sourdough stuff, kombucha, just stuff that like you get to do when you have a house and you have your own space, and it's really nice. Um, 2022, I don't know, like you were still in Texas at that point, correct?
I was also working, I was head of operations and
That's right.
support
Yeah.
at a company, which I really enjoyed that job. Every job has pros and cons, but that one was definitely a lot of fun. And then at the end of that year, though, the company ran out of money, and the tech industry also took a huge hit just all
Mm-hmm.
around. And
Yeah.
literally, like, probably several 100,000 people got laid off. So the industry became about as competitive as you can get. Um, and I have not been able to. I did have a little job for a little bit, but eventually that got nixed too because for financial reasons. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's why I know our last kind of podcast, um, when we launched our podcast as Tidbits of Truth, I think we kind of moved away a little bit from talking about tech stuff, right?
Yeah, not yeah, we didn't really talk about it as much.
But we're
And
both
it's
still in it, so
really
it definitely still leaked in for sure.
yeah. I was also like head of operations and customer support at a startup at the same time that you were, and different startup. And ours like died for like financial reasons and like whatever, like early 2022. And then yours was like later, but like the same year though. We
Yeah.
both like ended up in different spots, and 2023 brought another job for me. I actually got to go to Europe, so that was really exciting. And then that whole year was kind of just crazy for some personal reasons that we probably will get into at some point. But um, and then when 2023 was the year that you moved to Florida, too.
It is, yeah. So that was a crazy year because I moved in August. In the whole beginning of that year, like I said, I lost my job late of 2022. So I was actually working three jobs all of the first half of 2023, just working my butt off, making sure I was, could support myself. And
Mm.
then Andrew flew over, helped me finish packing up. We
Andrew is her
drove.
husband because we haven't
Yes.
actually said his name.
Have I not? I thought I said maybe
No.
not.
He was married to a nameless person.
um, he came over, helped me finish packing up, and then he drove me to Florida, where I moved in with my first elderly, which that feels like such. I feel like if she listens, she'd be like elderly, but she's like our parents' age. But she was such a sweetheart.
She was like 50,
She
maybe
was
50
she might
or
have been 60
60.
because she no because I remember telling her my parents were like 50s and she was like, oh, they're all babies. So she was older for sure, but a total sweetheart. She was beautiful, very kind. I really enjoyed her. She loved Myra as
And
well,
say
so
she
that
loved
was.
your cat. She was
Oh
very
my
sweet.
gosh, she'll text me just to check in on Myra. She's like, oh, and you and Andrew too, but
That's so cute. Oh my gosh.
yeah. Um, but I started working as a nanny during that time. And I've been a nanny for a little over a year now. And now that Andrew and I are going to be moving to Georgia, actually next week, we I am on the job hunt again, looking for something else.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then 2024 was the wedding for
Yes,
Samantha and Andrew. So
and the
I
engagement.
and engagement
We just
and
celebrated our anniversary, our
of the
engagement
engagement.
anniversary.
Aww.
Yeah. And we got engaged January 13th. Um, my friend Anna did a lot to help the engagement. I know I said we'd do the story another time, but
Yep.
I
Mm-hmm.
was complaining to her about, I was like, Andrew has this one plan, and like, I feel like it's going to be really, really kind of not enough,
Oh my
basically.
gosh.
I don't remember exactly, but oh no, what it was I didn't care so much about that as much as I was like, I know what it's going to be because he was not very sneaky or subtle about it. And I was like, I want to be at least sort of surprised. So I was venting to my friend about that, and she got in contact with Andrew, and they came up with the plan together. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then yeah, it was a little bit more than 90 days later we got married on April 22nd, 2024. And since then we have been kind of jumping around. We were waiting for Andrew to get a CFI job, a flight instructing job. So we've been trying to stay mobile for when that does happen,
Hmm.
but it sounds like that industry is a little bit in a lull at this moment. So
Hmm.
we're gonna put down temporary roots in Georgia until we do know where we're going.
Hmm. Yeah, staying flexible, figuring
Mm-hmm.
life out as you
Mm-hmm.
go. So, yeah, 2024 for us, we went on a cruise. It was my first cruise.
Hey, you guys
Eric's
went to
parents,
Alaska.
we did. Eric's parents paid for it, so it was very nice. Shout out to them. Uh, and we got to see bears, and it's fun to watch a bear like rip a fish out of the water and just eat it. And
I like
then,
the video of you reeling in the fish. That's a lot of fun.
mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
actually
we
like
went
fishing.
salmon fishing. So that was
Mm-hmm.
super fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught the biggest one. So,
There you go.
yeah. So that was super fun. Uh, we went on a mission trip again. We go with the youth group every year, and that was really fun. Um, and I was in a wedding, somebody's wedding. So
Yes, Hope is one of my bridesmaids.
that was really
She
fun.
did a
We
lot
drove.
of work for me.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
fun though.
awesome.
And then you guys came here for the bridal shower, so that was amazing. And
Yes, Hope hosted
and
my
we
bridal
did
shower.
we did two parties in one day.
We did. We
And
did.
then
'Cause
and the night before we had gone to another wedding for another
yes.
one of our very good friends.
I don't know if
So
we ever had her on the podcast, but
I
we
don't
used
think
to
we
work with
did.
her. We may have mentioned her before.
We should though. We should have her
We
on.
should. Because
So,
she is very good at decor. She is
hmm,
very good at thrifting. She's very good at decor. So that would
yeah.
be a
Her
great
house
episode
is
to have
like
her on.
amazing.
Yes, yes. Very cute, very
So,
retro, very vintage.
hmm, she's just got an eye for that kind of stuff. So,
Hmm.
we actually, I don't know to tell you this. We just went on like a day trip with her and her husband.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
we went to, do you know Wisconsin Dells?
No.
So it's like a giant, like it's like I think it's like a series of resorts. If I'm wrong, sorry, but and there's like a bunch of like giant water parks. So, we
Oh,
had
you may have told
one,
me because there was a specific day you wanted to do, but the voucher.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
So we won the voucher in an auction. So we were like, hey, we should have them come with us. So we went, and it was like a Sunday morning. We just drove over there. It was like 3 hour drive. We got there, and we stayed in the water park for most of the day. And then we had dinner. We went back to the water park when there was like no one there, and went down the slides 500 times. Got our workout in, going up and down the stairs, and then drove back the next morning. Well, it was like a super fast trip, but it was fun. It was very fun.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. And another one of my best friends just got engaged, and I get to be in her wedding this year. That's very exciting.
What day did she get engaged?
Uh, January 18th.
Oh, so close.
So close. Very close. And I can tell the story later about how I like got her nails done.
Hmm.
And this is why mine look like this. So,
Hope almost didn't get her own nails done for her engagement, and I don't remember if we talked about this
I
before, but I
know.
had to I had to talk her into it. She was like, "No,
You
I
couldn't
don't
have
need
talked
it."
you couldn't have talked me into a color other than pink though.
I wasn't gonna try. I was like, as long as her nails are done.
Oh well. So, looking back on them, like they do look really nice that they're actually done. But pink was probably not the move. So,
It's
oh
okay. It's part of the story now.
well. So, a lot has really changed
Yeah.
from like 5 years ago. And I think I like texted you like a month ago. I was like past binging on like re listening to like all of our old episodes, and I was like, that was fun.
Hope is
We're
our
gonna
number one
we're
loyal
gonna
listener.
probably probably.
Not
I was like,
probably, for sure.
people don't need to know that.
No, we have tons of listeners.
We have like so many.
I did look at
Um,
our numbers, and we've had like 2,000 listens. I know at least like 1,800 of those are for you, but it's good. I feel like that was good. I feel like that's kind
I,
of good.
oh my gosh, that is pretty good. Although like 2,000 listens, like how many minutes do they have to listen for it to be like a listen?
I'll have to look into our analytics more deeply, but I just saw that and I was like, hey, that's a bigger number than some people probably have.
Yeah, so get wrecked.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I was like out doing something and I was like, we're gonna start this podcast again. I've just decided. So I texted Samantha and I was like, I have decided that we're starting the podcast again. And I just like didn't ask her if she wanted to. I just said, we're doing it. And she was like, okay, sounds good. So, and then she has done like honestly most of the work to get it up and running. So, huge shout out to that. Because
Thank
I
you.
like just literally just clicked on the link in the email and was like, here I am. So, because I did not know how to get it started. So,
It was just a couple hours of work I did, but
oh,
it's
she
fun.
also
It's
got the Instagram up and all that. So, follow us on Instagram. I
Yes, we have
forget
a
what
new
our
Instagram.
handle
It's
is.
at Tidbits of Truth Podcast with like the underscore in between each of the
Underscores, yeah.
words. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
check us out. We also still have our Twitter, which is I think it's true at Truth
No,
Tidbits.
it's X.
Yes,
It's
check us
X
out on
X
X
now.
at Truth Tidbits. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
Um, so that's
Are you gonna
exciting.
be? Are we gonna be posting regularly on X?
I'm definitely gonna try to. That's another thing is like as much as we our lives have moved away from tech a little bit, just naturally through life and excuse me, the economy. It is still like I remember why I like went to Praxis and why I liked working at TechStart because there is like something fun about it, about like setting up
Yeah.
accounts and like okay, this is the plan that I'm going to be posting. But I would like to be at least semi-regular, and we're going to be uploading clips from this podcast. Like this is why we have the video format now. Um, hopefully, hopefully we
Also,
can
then we get
stick
to do
to
our
it.
makeup more often.
Yes, we both love our makeup. Um,
We decided we need to put more on next time.
yes, but no, we look great. It's okay, we look great. I think the last time we talked, we were going to do bi-monthly, just because we are now
Mm-hmm.
both married with big life changes happening,
Yeah.
and it might be a little tricky to do more than that. But also, we're our own bosses. So if we're like, hey, I feel like doing a podcast episode this week, then as long as we're both available, then we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So just stay tuned. Stay tuned
Mm-hmm.
for fun stuff. We have a lot of ideas planned already for
Mm-hmm.
what we're going to talk about, and I think we're both a little bit Well, Hope might be a better planner than I am, but like a little bit pantsers in the sense like I don't know. Are you familiar with that term?
No, I was
Okay.
gonna pretend I knew what it was, but
It's in writing and like fiction writing. If you're a planner, then you plan out every single thing that's going to happen in your book, and if you're a pantser, you just see where the plot takes you, um,
okay,
like
okay.
flying by the seat of your pants type of thing. Um,
Um,
so we're That's kind of where we are right now. Just because I also think, for me at least, if I spend too much time planning stuff, I'll never actually do it. So we're just kind of jumping in, and we're gonna almost like refigure it out as we go.
yep.
Yeah.
And I know we had said we were gonna do yearly updates. We did film a really long episode. I think we actually had wine, and we drank wine and did the podcast at the same
Oh my
time
gosh,
for
that's
like
a
an hour
great
and a half.
idea. We should
We
have
should.
like wine hour with Hope and Sam where we just like goof off.
It was like, yeah, it was an hour and a half long though, and we talked like very in depth about my wedding. I think we are gonna like retell that story, but like probably much shorter and less rambly.
I also
Um,
lost the audio file. I'm sure it's somewhere on my computer, but I don't know where the audio file is.
yeah, and it was really long, so doesn't super need to be uploaded, but we did try. We'll just say that. The rumors are not true. We are alive. We didn't die. We did say if we don't upload an episode every year, that means we died. But that's not true. It's just that we just didn't feel like uploading an episode. So, um, yeah, just it's crazy to me. Like when we left last time, it's like I was engaged. I was trying to plan my wedding. You hadn't even met Andrew yet. You were gonna move to Texas with your cat. Like just you against the world, kind of. And now we're both married and we both like it's just in completely different spots. And we're the kind of I think the plan for this podcast is to really we're gonna kind of stay away from tech just because like neither of us super work in tech anymore or like plan to work in. I mean, like Samantha's trying to get a job in tech right now, but like
But nothing we
um,
have to say would be like
something we haven't already said.
something we haven't already said, or be probably because the industry just changed so much, and neither of
Yeah,
us are like have our thumb on the pulse of it anymore. So anything we'd said might be slightly out of date,
yeah,
if that may be.
but
Even
yeah,
though it's only been
yeah.
a couple of years, which is kind of
So
crazy.
I know, but we're gonna talk about like super fun things. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned. Kind of like I don't know how to phrase it, just like more like how to be a woman in this kind of culture, basically.
So Hope and I are
So,
both conservative Christian traditional women,
mhm.
and our content is also going to be for conservative Christian traditional women. Other people can listen to it.
No, men can
We're
listen.
not gatekeeping, but that's who we are, and that's what we're going to be talking about.
So if you're interested in listening to what a couple of girls want to talk about,
Also, we're just here to have
feel
fun.
free.
Like so
Yeah.
much of our last
Honestly, this is
podcast was
literally just
just
for us.
us just having fun. And if I know so many people are like, oh, I turn on a podcast because I feel like I'm talking with friends. That's kind of my
Yeah.
like a secondary almost goal of like I hope you kind of get to know us, and I hope you fall in love with us because we're so lovable that like you want to listen to us like that. But I want it to be that kind of like vibes, I guess.
Mm. Yeah. So, where's Myra right now?
You know, I think she's probably sleeping on our bed, and my
Oh.
headphones are wired right now. But
Oh, that's another thing that happened in 2023. We got another cat. So,
yes.
and Samantha has met this cat. Her name is Creme Brulee, spelled with a
Mm-hmm.
K, because Eric's name's spelled with a K. You know how many people have told like, "Hey, it's Eric with a K," and then they still spell it Eric. Like they don't. I don't understand. Like I was just at somewhere where they're like, we go there for like appointments, like often, like every month, and it's like kind of like a clinic, and the lady was like, "Oh, until like I had your insurance card, I've been spelling his name wrong like this entire time." And I'm like, "Okay." He makes such a big deal about his name too.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of funny that like we were at Chick-fil-A the other day at an airport and they said, "What's the name?" And I normally don't say Eric because it can get spelled wrong too many times. So, but I was like, Eric." And he was like, "Eric?" And I was like, "Yeah, Erik." And he was like, "With a K." And he was like, "Brik." I'm like, "Yeah, Erik, Brik. Yeah, we get it." And he had spelled it like Brik, like brick. I was like, "Sir."
That's why he asked so many times. He was like, "Your husband's name is Brick."
He was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, it's not that uncommon of a name." Oh my gosh. But yeah, Cream, the cat, she is a rag doll. So she's really fluffy and white. And Samantha and Andrew both met her when they came for the bridal shower. So,
Hmm.
and they sort of get along a little bit, but that was a major thing. I had to like beg. I had just got like let go from my job
Hmm.
and also like was just going through a really like rough patch and I was like, "Can I please have this cat?" And he was like, "Okay, fine." And it was my birthday.
There you go.
So he couldn't say no. So now we have two cats.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, as we kind of launch into this new era of tidbits,
Hmm.
um, we've prepared some questions for each other. I just have three. How many do
Okay.
you have?
One.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll start then, and then
Okay.
maybe like after one or two, you'll give yours.
Okay.
Okay. My first question is, how have you changed as a person since we first started slash ended our podcast, whichever one you wanna focus on?
Oh my gosh. I was just reflecting on this today, but I feel like I don't want to say less trusting, but like that's the best way I can think of to describe it. Like less trusting of people in particular to, I don't know how to explain, but like to be them, to like, to handle things in a way that I feel like I would be okay with. So for instance, like looking back on my wedding, our DJ is somebody that we know and still are friends with right now. Um, he I kind of like tied his hands behind his back a little bit for our wedding because I was like, well, you're not allowed to do this, and I want this and only these songs and like all this different stuff because I didn't really trust, like deep down I feel like I didn't trust him enough to be like, do whatever you want, I don't care, you know. And even though like he kind of like, I should have trusted to know that he knows what he's doing in that arena. Same thing with like my own engagement is like, I wish I had just told my husband like, do whatever you want to do. Like I'll be happy no matter what it is. Because I'll talk about this for another episode, but for my birthday this past year, he like went all out and I was like, I feel like I'm getting proposed to again. Like it was like a really fun thing, but I was like, dang it, I he's such a creative person that I should have just like let him do whatever he wanted instead of like, it needs to be somewhere where we're both alone and it needs to be like this and it needs to be, you know, this way and it needs to be on a weekend and it needs to be like, I shouldn't have had so much like rules in place that he needed to follow in order for me to be approving of it, if that makes sense. So I feel like they're in that way, like I am, and I think that comes from a sense of I want to control things, and that's just also like rooted in, I think, in like lack of trust and anxiety, which the more you lean on the Holy Spirit and the more you are in the Word and you're trusting the Lord, it makes it easier for you to go, you know what? Like these other people, they know what they're doing. Like you're friends with them, you trust them, like you don't need to micromanage every little thing. And it wasn't like I was micromanaging people, but like I don't know if anything I'm saying is making sense, but like
No,
basically,
it does.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
I
kind of
definitely
like
feel
something I
you.
feel like I've grown, like, yeah, that's something I've really like feel like I've grown a lot in the last 5 years of just like, nope, like I don't need to be like, I don't need to know about every single thing. Like other people, like I can delegate things to other people. And Eric and I've even talked about this a lot, like during home life. He'll be like, come downstairs sometimes and be like, how can I help you? And I'm like, you can't. There's nothing you can do because I I haven't taught you to do all the things that I'm going to be doing. And he's like, okay. So then he can't help me, and then I get more stressed out, and then I get more anxious, and then that like obviously impacts my health. So like, and in our marriage, so I just have slowly started to be like, you know what? I just need to like trust, especially like my husband, because he's my husband and I live with him, right? And we're married. It's like I should be more of like, yeah, you can do this or you can do that. And if he doesn't do it like perfectly correct the way that like I would have done it, doesn't mean like it's wrong. And that's just a huge thing that I've been learning recently. And I realize like, man, I've kind of feel like I've come a long way in the last 5 years.
That's really good. That could be something we even do a whole podcast episode on is like
Mm-hmm.
the dynamic with your husband in that sense because I'm as we've discussed, I'm a very pretty controlling person and um that can I know that's not healthy, but sometimes it's like my brain can't help it. And I'm always like I'm checking in and especially in this time of our lives where so much is up
Mm-hmm.
in the air. I'm like, and I'm also a pretty anxious person. I'm just constantly like, feel like
Me
I have
too.
to have my hand in everything or nothing's going to get done, is essentially how I feel about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully all that rambling like made sense.
No, it was good. My second
What
question.
what about you though? Where do you think
Oh,
you've grown as a person?
um, I had an answer and then you asked me it, and now it's flown out of my head. But I mean, I think, for one thing, I, I, let me think about this for a second. I'll clip it out of the audio because I don't know how to put it quite right.
Oh, my baby came over. Come here, Maisie. Maisie, come here. Come here.
Okay, I think I have an answer. I feel like in a lot of ways, like re-listening to some of the old podcasts, I noticed like, and I'm still like this, where I tend to be kind of down. My energy levels are down here. I'm kind of like subdued, and I talk a little bit monotone, and that's still like who I am. But in some ways, like I know I just talked about being stressed out. Like I've chilled out in a lot of ways. Like
Mm.
there's obviously still a lot of things that hurt me that I have a hard time like letting go of. But
Hmm.
I've also like I feel like I've chilled out in a lot of ways and like um I can be very I've known to be very combative, and both Hope and my husband have said if I'll send them a text message I'm thinking of answering, and they're like, "Oh, I'm glad I got a hold of this one," and they help me like calm it down, and I'm like, "I thought it was fine." Um, so
Yeah, and
like,
you'll send you would when we especially when we lived together too, you would send and even now we do this to each other. You'll send me messages and be like, is this nice enough to send? And and I send you my messages and say, is this mean enough to send? Is this
so
good? Not
yeah,
mean, but like firm. But that's my
right,
joking. That's my joking term.
right. Like I feel like for example with boundaries, I feel like if I have a boundary and someone crosses it, I'm less likely to get worked up about it, and I'm more
Mm,
likely to handle it in like a calm manner of like, oh, sorry, I said you couldn't do that, and I meant it this time. So instead of like, you know, fighting with them. Um,
that's good.
yeah, so I feel like that's like the best way to put it is I feel like I'm a lot calmer in a lot of ways, but it also feels hypocritical to say that because like I do get so anxious and so worked up, and like Andrew can tell you it's always like at the end of the night when I'm a night person,
When
but
you're tired. Yeah.
after the whole day's gone by and I'm tired, that's when I'm like, Andrew, like, just tell me we're gonna be okay. And I'm like, it's like everything's gonna be awful. I just know it. And he has to calm me down quite a bit, which he does a great job, great job of it.
So
But
that's
it's
the rule the role of husbands that they didn't really specifically know they were going to have until they like you start wedding planning and get married and stuff,
yeah,
and then they're like, this is going to be a job that I have forever.
yeah, yeah. But I think it goes into like I care. I still like have my beliefs and my opinions
Mm,
about things because if I didn't think that they were right, then I wouldn't have them. But I care less that other people don't agree with them, if that
mm.
makes sense. So, like, in those kinds of ways,
It didn't seem like you cared before either, but
well, I think I was a lot more like passionate about what I believed, and not that I'm like disinterested now, but
yeah,
I'm a lot less like in your face about it, I think. If that
you're
makes
you're less like, I feel like I need to like defend this position, and more like, well, this is what I believe, so.
Yeah, and I know I have
Mm,
my reasons for defending it, but
mm,
I've also gotten like I don't know if we're going to talk about politics much, but like I've gotten tired of kind of the political climate
mm,
of like there's a lot of name calling, there's a lot of like attacking, and I'm just kind of like desensitized to that almost.
mm.
So, Similarly, I don't know if any of that made any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I
I think it
also
did.
I feel like
And
people are
I
naturally contradictory and paradoxes, and I feel that about myself because I'm like, oh, I've chilled out, but also like let me tell you about how stressed out I was last week, and so
no, but I feel like having kept in contact with you over these last 5 years, like that you have, like that's very true. So,
that's good. That's good to know.
hmm I also feel like you're a lot stronger in your faith than you were 5 years ago. And not that you weren't strong in it before, but like it feels like you're just more like in tune with the Holy Spirit now than you were
Oh,
5 years
thank you.
ago, which has been really fun to see.
Oh, thank you.
Hmm Yeah,
uh,
especially with all the challenges you guys have had to go through in the past just year.
yeah,
Like that strengthens your faith a lot.
yeah. We've had a challenging first year of marriage, not because of each other necessarily,
Yeah,
but just
no, because of
because.
outside circumstances.
Yes, yes. Do you want to ask your question or should I ask my next question?
You can ask your next one, then I'll ask
Okay.
mine.
What is something you missed from pre marriage when we lived together,
Mm.
and something you like better being married besides the obvious?
Um, so I miss like all the girl nights and the just spontaneous misadventures we had. Um, like every now and then little stuff will pop up on my Instagram, like 5 years ago, you bought a fish together, or 5 years ago, all these things. And I'm like, oh, those were so like fun times where we were just kind of reckless and young and naive and crazy. Um, I mean, sort of reckless as two Christian white girls can be.
That's the thing. Our definition of reckless
Yeah.
is not the typicals.
No. Like it was getting high on sugar and caffeine and going home and then crashing at 9 p.m. So that was and we did Instagram live that at one point for all of our coworkers to see. Not sure if that was
Yes.
amazing. That was my idea, just for the record, but
It wasn't even, I remember, I don't think it was even the caffeine and the sugar. I think it was like we both wanted to like let some energy out and let some steam off. And the
Mhm.
sugar and caffeine was
The
the
catalyst for
the
that, yeah.
yeah, the excuse.
Yeah, so I do miss that. And, oh, your AC turned off.
Oh,
Um, you can definitely tell. Um, I miss that. I think that was just and the girl talk that we just had so much of that and so much fun and like the random silly little memories of I remember one time we were like super interested in we were like super into like we're going to be fit, we're not going to eat any junk, we're going to be even though we were both like really fit at the time, like probably the fittest we've ever been. And we were like, "Oh, we're not going to eat we're fat. We're not going to eat any junk. We're worried about being fat." And then like the next day, Sam texts me. I'm working from home, and I think you were like in between jobs right at that point, and you had gone to the store. I think you went to the Asian market, and you texted me. You're like, "Are we still worried about being fat?" And I was like, "Heck no." And you were like, "Good," because I just bought lots of stuff.
And then
So
sometimes I look back on pictures and I'm like, wait a minute, are you telling me I was skinny this whole time?
and you're like, "That's when we were like, oh, we were fat," even though like we were really not. So yeah, and then the I miss like working together. That was really fun when we had the same job, like the same companies for a while. And then now being married, I enjoy. I think it's just like having a roommate is really great because I feel like it really prepares you for marriage, and I highly recommend getting a roommate. Um, if you're single and just looking to live on your own, like you should definitely get a roommate and then look to like outserve that person because that will prepare you for marriage. And then marriage will be, in my opinion, like living together is easier if you have had a roommate. Um, Obviously the same gender. So, like it's just because Eric is obviously you and Eric are very different people.
Yes.
So just a tad bit, um, teeny tiny bit. So living with him is, I don't want to insult you, but like a lot most of the time more fun just because like he is my best friend. And then I assumed like same with you and Andrew, like you guys are best friends. So you have all these like inside jokes and you go it like just because we're roommates didn't mean we went and did like literally everything together. But when you're married, you kind of go doing literally everything together. So then you're even closer. And there were some times when we were living together that like we would have separate times. Like we would be like, all right, tonight we're not going to hang out. Tonight we're not going to really talk to each other. And then on Friday night we'll hang out, like that kind of thing. And then when you're married, you talk to each other and you hang out like every single night. So I do enjoy that. I think it's fun. Um, I like that we like it's just more comfortable because it's your space instead of like the constant, that's not stress, but like, oh, someday we're gonna move out, someday we're not gonna live together anymore, someday I'll have to remember which pan is mine and which all these different things, which is kind of stressful and I don't like that. But when you're married, it's really nice because you're like, oh, we're never gonna move out, we're always gonna live together. All this stuff that's in the house is ours collectively and not like I don't have to remember what's mine and what's not mine. So I don't know if I talked a lot, but that's my answer to your question.
No, I think I feel very similarly. I think the number one thing I miss is just girl time, girl talks. And I had this when I lived in Texas too. Me and my roommates, we had like a designated night every week where we were gonna hang out and we had drinks and we had dinner, we watched movies or whatever it could be anything. We did a lot of things actually. Um, and that's definitely fun. Like I remember like us knocking on each other's doors and like just asking like a question. I'd be like, "Am I
Yeah.
fat?" Or "What do you think of
Yeah.
this thing?" Like,
You like bust in my room one time, you're like, what do you think of this sugar waxing thing? Can I
yeah.
try it on you? And I was like, no. And then the next day I got an ad for it on Instagram.
They're
So,
listening. Um, but like that kind of stuff I miss. Like there's something like girls need other girls. We've talked about this, I think, in person a lot. Like girls need other girl friendships. We just do. And it's nice
mhm.
having that easily accessible. And like, I think there's a little bit less of a worry when you are friends and you are living together about like, oh, am I bothering them? Like, if we lived in the same area and I came and knocked on your door, I'd feel a little bit more awkward about it than if we lived in the same house and
I
I
wouldn't have
just walked
cared.
down the room. But like, I don't know. The thing is, I don't know what you're doing. Like, if I knock on the door and you're like, I'm peeing, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and then with living with a husband, like Andrew's also my best friend. And it's kind of shocking how much like I don't get tired of hanging out with him.
Yeah.
The
But
only
like with
time I,
friends, you kind of can,
yeah,
but like with your husband, it's not as much.
yeah, like sometimes I'm like the only reason I will get tired is of him is if I'm hungry or tired and I don't want to be bothered because he when he gets tired and or hungry, he gets like a little extra goofy and a little extra chatty and
Hmm.
I get grumpy. So he's here talking, and I'm like, please be quiet. Like, it's not a great, it's not a great dynamic, but it is funny once everything is taken care of. Um, but yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said too. All right, your turn, your question.
Okay. If you had to give yourself, like, you could go back in time to the last episode that we wrote, or that we produced, where you were kind of stressed out, I think you were trying to figure out where you were going to be living. Um, and we were about to move out, like, we were about to, like, do that stressful, like, roommate separation where it's like, is that my pot? Is that my dish towel thing? Is that, like, all that stuff? Did you pack away my blah blah blah, like that kind of stuff. um we were about to do that, and I was, you could go back to that point and talk to that girl without you don't want to like give away too much of the future, but like what would you tell her?
Um, I think I would tell her that it's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be okay. Cause that I think is how it's been. If
Mm.
it's like I feel like in my life I very rarely like get a break. There's always something, whether
Yeah.
it's I got a new job or I lost a job, or even if everything's going well in work, like, oh, there's this relationship that is now not going well, whether it's a romantic one or a friendship or whatever. Um, like, there's never not something going on.
Hmm.
And that's not easy to navigate, especially when you've never done it before. There's a lot of things in these last few years that I've never done before, never had to deal with before, and
Yeah.
like that was that. I'm like, sorry, I didn't do so well in that one. Like that, it was my first time. Like, um, because I think that's what I would tell her. Because those 3 months after leaving were like I've had a lot of stressful times like now, but in terms of how I felt the anxiety, that was probably the worst I've ever like felt the anxiety because I did not know where I was going. I did not know what my like. There were a lot of times me and my roommates at the time we like there's a picture that I'll show sometimes. I'm like, oh, this is where we had our pets in an IHOP and we didn't know where we were gonna sleep that night. Like,
Yeah, I
so
remember that.
yeah. So that's like immediately after and during the move, that's kind of what I went through. And then things calmed down for a bit when we were in the house, but then something else happened. And it's like, it's like that song, like, well, like the years stop coming, but they don't stop coming. It's like that, but like the things start coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming, you
Yeah, I
know?
feel like that's just life though, because every now and then, like once we get past this point, then we'll be fine, and then we're not. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, and then it's something else, and then it's something else, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like that's just always gonna happen.
Yeah, but I'm still in the mindset of like one day it won't happen. Like one day because I'm at least in the point where like I don't even have a place to call my own. Like
Hmm.
this house I'm in now isn't mine. Like we're renting a room in the house. Um so I feel like the things that I want are just like bare minimum things like a job and an apartment to
Yeah,
like stay in long term. So I feel like at least when I get that, I'll be better equipped to handle the things that come. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, or at least
I
have a
feel like
better
I felt that
foundation.
way with the situation too. And I could tell that story at some point, but
Hmm.
getting out of our apartment was interesting.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah. I think what I would tell myself is, I mean, I don't know, I should have probably thought about the answer to my own question before I asked it.
See?
Um, um, I probably would have told myself to like, hey, just let people do their thing. Trust other people to take care of you, and like let other people take care of you more. And like it's gonna be okay. Like just let go. And that's probably like, I would have learned that lesson faster than like 5 years, hopefully. But I
Do you
think
think you would have
that's
actually
probably
learned
what I
that
said.
lesson by that point? Or do you think young you
Yeah,
would have listened to it?
I don't know. You always kind of feel like you hope you would have listened to yourself from the future,
That's true.
but you know, but yeah, I would hope that that's something, or like, hey, expectation is the and comparison is the thief of all joy. Like you have expectations of things that they're going to be a certain way, and you have like, but just know that like expect like the things that you take for granted and the things that are like you highly expect to happen might not happen the exact way that you want them to or that you think they're going to happen. And like, and the same thing kind of with you. Like it's going to be hard, but it's going to be okay. Like it's, I think that's, and that's, I feel like we should always be able to know that because we have the Holy Spirit, right? So even like 5 years from now, like I don't really feel like I need a visit from the future me to tell me like, it's probably going to be hard, but it's going to be okay. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be in heaven anyway. So yeah,
Good. All right, my last
that was
question.
my my one question. Obviously, I wasn't as prepared.
Okay, so as we start this, obviously all these questions are kind of both a look back and a look forward.
Mhm.
Um, but a little more like teaser into what we may or may not be talking about in the future. What are some of your current obsessions, interests, hobbies, passions that you're
Mhm.
like all about right now?
Yes, I'm like super into trying to detox our life. So that means like getting good like cookware, like food, like you can even see like I'll talk about these grains at some point, but like milling flour is something that I've been into for like over a year now, making sourdough, kombucha, like just trying to eliminate toxins from our life has been like a huge goal and obsession for me in like all areas. And then I get super overwhelmed and stressed out because I'm like, the clothes are killing us, the water is killing us, our pans are killing us, the air is killing us, we're all gonna die. And then Eric has to go, it's gonna be okay. Like, let's not freak out. Like, yeah, there was a point where I'm like, I can't even make popcorn anymore because my popcorn maker is toxic. And Eric was like, okay, let's figure out a different way to make popcorn. You're gonna be fine. So, like, so that it can cause anxiety and stress, but it's also something I'm trying to be like, you know what? We're gonna take things like a little by little by little by little. Because if you think, we can talk about this more in another episode, but like, yeah, if you think, like, I need to change, like, literally everything in my house right now, like, you're gonna stress out because there's a lot to think about. So, if you just do one little thing, a month or a year even. I'm like, our goal for this year is to like replace all of our cookware. And that's like, if we just did that, then great. Who cares about
Hmm.
anything else? Like that's kind of like, I don't know. We can talk about that in another episode. But that's kind of like my main obsession and something else too that like we could talk about later, but it's like a bigger thing that probably warrants its own episode at some point.
Hmm. Yeah. For me, I'm really into this carnivore lifestyle. I'm not currently
Mm-hmm.
carnivore, just for some different reasons, not anything to do with the diet, but just financial and things like that.
Makes sense.
Um, I'm really into that. I'm also into like I want to do detoxing, but probably a little to a less extreme level than you are. I feel like if I start worrying about everything that could be bad for me, like you were saying, it's really overwhelming. And
Mm.
so I feel like I pick and choose. And I was telling my friend the other day, we went shopping and she like had the receipt paper. She was holding it like this and she was like, ah, estrogen on the receipt paper. And and I was like, oh, I can't start worrying about receipt paper on top of all the other things. So- and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. I feel like all my girlfriends are like crunchy, but in different ways. I was like, and I told her I was like, Hope doesn't eat refined enriched flour. And she was like, "Oh, really?" So I was like, "Yeah." So you don't like receipt paper? She doesn't like the flowers.
Yep.
um, so, but like seed oils, definitely trying to avoid things like seed oils. Even if I'm trying to find something that's like an easier thing for me to cook than having to like, make my own, like do my own cooking basically. If I look at it and it's got a dye of any kind in it, I don't get the dye.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
same.
definitely like focusing on food. I'm also working on switching. I don't have that much like uh, to begin with, at least not right now, but switching to like stainless steel and cast iron.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. I enjoy sourdough and kombucha, but I haven't been able to make that in a long time since before I moved to Florida. Um, let's see. I think those are the main things on my mind. Like at this moment, I want to get back into writing. Um, what else? I think those are the main things
Main
that.
things, yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of video games though, but we're probably not going to talk about that on the podcast. That doesn't fit the brand.
Goodness.
But yeah,
Alrighty. Oh, I'm so glad we're doing this.
me too. This is
Makes
gonna
me
be
so
fun.
happy.
Hmm.
Hmm. All right. We close it out?
Oh yeah, how are we gonna close it out?
I say this has been another episode of Tidbits of Truth, and I'm Hope Anderson,
And I'm Samantha White.
and we'll see you in the next episode whenever it uploads.
Okay.
Peace out.
Are we doing all that again? Was that that was not our exit.
Wait, we're not. Wait, we're done. We're not done.
That just was very low energy.
Oh, do we need to do it again?
I think we should
All
we
right,
better send
fam.
off.
Episode has been lit.
Okay,
It's been.
stop that. Not like that. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning back in to another episode of Tidbits of Truth. I feel like we covered a lot in this episode. It's an hour long, which isn't. It's not too terribly long.
Well, like we talked kind of for the first 20 minutes about stuff.
Yes,
So
that's true. So it's more
it's
like
probably
a
like 40
40
minutes.
40 to 50-minute episode. Um,
But it's our first time back.
it is, and we're
Oh,
reintroducing ourselves and everything. I feel like there wasn't too much. There were a couple points that got rambly, but I think overall it was good. Uh, Please make sure you check back in with us. Again, check out our Twitter at Truth Tidbits and our new Instagram at the Tidbits of Truth podcast with underscores. Um, and just stay tuned. Go listen to some of our older episodes and
subscribe,
subscribe, like,
share, do all the things.
all the things on on
Smash that
Spotify.
bell, whatever that thing does.
I think is that
It
on
like note it
Spotify?
Spotify, yeah, it notifies you like when we drop a new episode.
Okay,
So
I knew that was a
definitely
YouTube thing. Yes,
hit the
definitely do
bell,
that. Hit the bell, um, and drop a comment
mhm,
about what you liked, what you want to see from us.
but no
Um,
hate.
no hate, we can't handle it. And and I hope we see you on the next one. So thanks for
Yay!
tuning in to another Tidbits of Truth podcast. I'm Samantha White.
And I'm Hope Anderson, and
And
we'll
we'll
see
see
you in
you
the
in the
next.
next one. Okay.